Hello guys, this is a review of the newly released series on Hulu, Love Victor, as well as its predecessor, Love Simon. We're gonna start with Love Simon, the plot from both the series and the film, and then I'm gonna get into my ideas about both of them. They're fantastic. Love Simon is about Simon, a 17-year-old high schooler who's very close friends with these guys. Abby, whom he met like 3 months in, she moved barely, but she's still very much part of the group. Nick and Leah, who has been friends with Simon for like 13 years and counting, so they're the closest ones, but everybody else is close as well. Bram, who's nowhere to be found, aka Blue, so we're not gonna show him. And Martin, who's this dorky outsider who does not have bad intentions, but it sometimes comes off that way because he's just so kind of into himself, so very narcissistic in that sense. But yeah, everything seems to be going great for Simon. Simon has great, attentive, caring parents, successful in their careers, loving sister, has friends whom he hangs out with, and they have a lot of fun. They do everything together. But he has one big secret, is that he's gay. And he is not ready for anybody to find out. He's video chatting with Leah, and she lets him know that they attend Creekwood High School, and they have this thing where students get on and divulge their secrets and gossip and stuff like that. It's called Creek Secrets. And she tells him there's this gay guy at high school, who could it be? And he's like, hey, I have to go, because he understands. He's like, wow, there's somebody else like me. And there's only like one known guy, and obviously it's not him, then it wouldn't be a secret. So he starts chatting with this person called Blue, and he creates this name, Jacques, to communicate with him via Gmail so that nobody knows who they are. And they interchange ideas, they end up falling for each other, and everything seems to be going well. He finds like, oh, somebody I could relate to, somebody that I could talk to about these things that are very important to me. But one time he's in the library using the computer, and he forgets to log off because the principal interrupted him. He rushed off, and Martin, the dorky kid that I mentioned before, he goes to use it and screenshots the messages because he wants to go out with Abby. So he blackmails Simon into helping him get like dates with her, go on dates with her, I mean. But Abby likes Nick, and Leah loves Simon, but Simon thinks that Leah loves Nick. He gets it all messed up. Obviously, he's very reluctant to be a part of that, Simon, I mean. But he also loves Blue, and he knows that for Blue it's very important to keep a low profile. So for that, and the fact that he's not ready to come out himself, he accepts to help him out with Abby. And they do a whole bunch of funny and interesting light humor things, but in the very end, people get their feelings hurt because during the football game, that's when everything just falls apart. A fellow classmate is singing the national anthem, and Martin is dressed as the school mascot, this wild bear. He interrupts her and declares his love for Abby, and prior to that he had asked Simon, hey, should I do it? And Simon was just over it because he had been working so hard trying to find out who it was, who Blue was, and he was just angry about this whole situation. So he said, do what you have to do, just go ahead and do it. So he does it, and people laugh at him because Abby rejects him in a very polite manner. She's like, I don't like you that way, but we could still be friends. So they laugh at him and make memes, you know how the cyber world could be. And in order to diffuse what's going on with him, Martin decides to turn the attention on Simon by letting out his truth and outing him on Creek Secrets. And Abby is obviously so distraught. She's like, because she was the one person that Simon came out to, and she was so supportive, and she let him know things about her personal life, and there's just no way that she could believe that he'd do that to her. And Leah as well, she feels so betrayed because she declared her love for Simon, but Simon thought that it was another person because he was so into his own thoughts, etc. But near the end, everything gets fixed because he writes this huge paragraph, more like an essay, describing how he felt, all the obstacles he's had to to overcome and the difficulties and why he did what he did, and like kind of an apology. And he also says, I'm gonna be at the Winter Festival riding the Ferris wheel. Blue, if you're ready to come out, if you want to be a part of my life and share this with the world, I'll be waiting for you there. And we all think as the audience that all hope is lost, that he's not going to show up, but at the very end he shows up and he turns out to be Bram, the other kid that I told you about. And yeah, it ends up on a very pretty note. Now, Love Victor is similar in some things, and like the whole hiding the fact that he's gay, like, but it's so much different. For example, he's Latino. He has Latino heritage, Puerto Rican and Colombian, and he's obviously American. He moved in from Texas recently, and the main characters in the series are Benji, who is the only openly gay guy there as far as we know. Felix is dorky kid that reminds me a lot of Martin, but he's a lot more lighthearted than Martin was. There's Mia, the most popular gorgeous girl in high school. There's Lake, her best friend, the daughter of a news reporter. And there's Pilar, his sister. Now, Victor, unlike Simon, he doesn't have a lot of money. He has all these other hurdles that he has to jump over. So he doesn't even, like religion, for example, Simon's parents were so liberal, as they say, that they had sneakers, special sneakers for protests. Like, that's how different they are from the more conservative household that Victor was brought up on. So he doesn't even accept it to himself. He cannot even dare to say it in his own mind, let alone anybody else. He starts working at a coffee shop where Benji works, but Benji's already dating somebody else, and it's not like he's gonna go for it. But he starts working there because he's very good at basketball. He wants to join the team, but the team, it costs like $500 to sign up, so he has to work to earn the money. On the first day that he set foot on campus, he met Mia, like I said, the most prettiest girl there, and they took a liking to each other and started dating and really loved each other, but they were not in love. At least Victor wasn't. Mia was always, like, as the episodes went on, wanting to take it to the next level, and Victor kept saying, like, he wasn't ready. But it's not that he wasn't ready. He was never going to be ready because he wasn't attracted to her in that way. Now, all hell breaks loose the moment that he goes on a work trip with his coworker Benji, and he makes a move on him, knowing that he has a boyfriend. So Benji's taken aback. He's like, hey, like, I know that I have problems with my partner, and he does, but that doesn't, mean that I want to mess it all up and stuff like that. And near the very end, they come to an agreement. Benji realizes that he wants to be with Victor. Victor, after a lot of things, because I'm telling you this story like, so, and then this, and no, a lot of things have to happen for that. But I just want to get onto my opinion so that, you could watch it for yourself and enjoy, because I never do it justice. I never do the plots justice. But as he's making out with Benji, at the very end, Mia had already gone through some family problems, very heavy problems, and she watches them kiss. So she runs over to Andrew, who I forgot to mention. Andrew's interested in Mia. He's like another star in basketball, but Mia doesn't really like him. Now, that's it. That's it for the plot. I'm gonna mention, like, plot points and highlights, but I'm gonna start giving my opinion. When Love, Simon came out, I was not, like, completely opposing the idea of watching it, but I wasn't, like, texting my friends, like, let's go watch it in theaters, because I felt like it was just another cash grab. Like, the heterosexual Caucasian lead, and, obviously all movies want to do well at the box office, but they have to have soul, And I always say it doesn't have to be, like, a high standard, like the highest goal, no. But whatever goal you have, make sure that you follow through. In this movie, they follow through. I was wrong, and I accept it. Because it's not just an idea that I have in my mind of how many lives it changed. It did change lives. So you could just go on YouTube and search up like coming out videos thanks to Love, Simon, and people took their parents, family members to watch it, and then they found it to be so much easier to express what they felt with them, thanks to the fact that they were sharing this environment, like the theater, this fun thing, whatever. So it definitely changed some lives, and for that I'm very grateful to everybody involved in the movie. But having said that, I wasn't completely wrong, because his life is so much different from a lot of people. And I think, is it true that it happens like that? Yes. Did he have problems of his own? Of course. But if you compare it to Victor, it's just so much different. And I'm not saying that, oh, you should only pay attention to the people that suffer the most. No, but it's different, like I said. Love Victor, when I found out, sorry, kind of stumbling upon, I actually did this review like 3 times already yesterday, but it kept cutting off after like 40 minutes of recording. So right now I'm being very cautious, and no matter what happens, when I near the 30-minute mark, I'm just going to stop it. But I really want to get my thoughts in as soon as possible. I saw the ads on Facebook and I thought, really, a remake? This came out in like 2018. So when did they film the other one? Like when did they film it? I mean, 2017, 16. It's not too long ago. We don't need a remake, but that's the impression that I got from the promotion that I was exposed to. But it turns out that it's a sequel, and I love sequels. I never like close my mind completely to anything. Like I could have watched it either way. And I happen to have Hulu now, which I usually don't. So it's just like all the stars aligned for me. And I feel so happy because the series is so awesome. At first, I was kind of angry at Victor. I was like, why, like, doesn't he just accept it? Like, he's not confused. He knows. But then I think back and I'm like, hey, he's not in his 30s. And even people in their 30s sometimes are confused. But it's just so difficult to even say it out loud. And a lot of you just have no idea what it's like. And some of you do. And thank you for understanding. And thank you for listening. Victor goes through so many things. For example, he gets to meet Bram. Because he reaches a boiling point where he's like, I'm going to go to New York. Hey, Simon, thanks for showing me your support. I'm going to go visit you. And Simon's like, I'm actually away at a bachelorette party. I'm sorry, you should have told me. But Bram could receive you, so he goes with Bram and a few roommates who happen to be like drag queens and stuff like that. And at first he's like, no, like Victor's like, actually no, I just came for basketball. I'm like, trying to play it straight. And he asks one of the members, by the way, if I say anything that is offensive, insensitive, trust me, it's not my intention to say erroneous things. If I say something wrong, please correct me. I do not understand in this community, this society that we live in, where when people make mistakes, they come after them like piranhas. No, teach somebody. Give them the benefit of the doubt, because I'm being open with you and I'm letting you know that I am not going to, from the bottom of my heart, just go out and lash out at people and say mean things in order to hurt you. That's not my intention. But I'm a human and I make mistakes and I don't know everything. So if I'm using the wrong pronouns or something like that, please let me know. So he speaks with one of these guys, and he's dressed in like what I would say semi-drag. He's like, so this costume, Victor's like, this costume, is it like to make you feel better, to make you feel whatever? And he shows him a picture of him when he was like a Mormon, I think. He used to go preach the word of the Lord house to house. He was dressed in like a white shirt, the Bible, whatever. And he's like, this was a costume. Because this was something that I didn't want to do. This was something that I had to do to please my parents. But this is me right here. And that was so nice. I'm sorry for the barking. It's going to stop. After that, Bram's like, okay, so you came for some basketball, right? I'll take you out to some basketball. And they go and play at the New York streets. On the New York streets, I mean. And they have a very competitive match. Victor could barely hold the ball. He's like, wow, I'm surprised. They are amazing. Like, people actually think that I'm good back at high school. And then Bram's like, hey, and something that you have in common with them is that they're all gay. He's like, really? Even the tall one, the big one? He's like, yeah, you should see him in heels. So that was to open his mind and to really let him know that there's a variety of personalities, of attitudes within the community. But what makes this so special, the LGBT community, is the fact that it is a family. Because they know this part of your life. They don't know everything about you, but then they know this part. Unfortunately, they're at a bar, right? And mind you, how did he get in real life? I mean, you could fake IDs, but whatever, but they should have shown it. I know that it's for teens, but that's something that I was kind of thinking about. But one of them makes a mistake of mentioning Benji, the guy that he made a move on. And they're like, oh, don't worry about it. You're going to forget all about Benji. Like, and he's like, so basically, Simon has been telling you everything about my life. Like, I've been opening up to him, and he's been laughing at me with you guys. He rushes out without giving them a chance to explain, and that's when he meets Simon. No, you have no idea how excited I was. I am not exaggerating. I was so excited. I got chills. I was like, it's Simon. And they talk, and Simon's like, okay, let me tell you this. He's like, I can't believe that you told everybody my stuff. He says, I did not grow up with the same struggles as you, but so-and-so also had religious parents. So-and-so also was not economically great. So-and-so was not doing economically great. I don't know if that makes any sense. You know what I mean. And that's why I look to these people for help, to help you. Because we are all in this together, and we don't have to do this alone. There were questions that you had that I didn't have the answers to, but that I knew people that did because they went through it. And for me, this is a highlight in the series, one of the many highlights, because sometimes if you overhear, and even when it doesn't have anything to do with this like topic, subject matter, you hear or you overhear people talking about you, and you instantly think, oh, I can't believe so-and-so's talking about me, and like whatever. It's like, no, there's a difference between somebody speaking bad about you in order to hurt you, to cause drama, to ruin your reputation, etc., and somebody either just expressing their opinion, letting out their own anger that they have with themselves, with the relationship that they have with you, or, as it was in this case, just to help you. I always encourage people to ask why and who. What were they saying? Why were they saying? Who was saying it? Sometimes they really don't have the answers, and they love you and they want to do it. Granted, if somebody tells me, like, don't say it, you know, this is personal, or if I think with my better judgment that it's a private matter, then I won't mention it to anybody else, obviously. But if it's something that I know that I could talk to somebody else in an anonymous way, maybe gain answers, then I'll do it. Because we shouldn't have to do this alone. So before you judge somebody and say, like, for example, if somebody was to kick a dog, like my friend, I'm not going to talk to like my brother and be like, oh, you know what? She's so amazing. She kicked the dog. Or I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to say, I'm going to probably be mad and be like, I cannot believe that this girl just kicked the dog out of nowhere for no reason. Like, why would she do that? That's not okay. That's mean. And you're thinking, oh, you're talking trash. No, I'm not talking trash, because you're the trash. I mean, not you, but your actions were trash. Your actions were shitty. And I just told somebody else what you did. It's the truth. I did not exaggerate it. I did not do it with the intention of harming you. But it's obviously you have to judge people in order to be surrounded by people that are not going to just bring you down and harm you. And I'm not closing you forever saying that, oh, you're the baddest, you're the monster. No, eventually you might grow up and learn if you want to, and you're welcome. But in the meantime, we have to have better judgment and see people, you know, and be open, be able to express ourselves. Anyway, got too off topic. Love Victor filled every hole that I felt Love Simon had. I love Simon. It was a good watch. It was entertaining. It was funny. But I did feel like I was like, but what about the rawness, the cruelty, the prejudice, the great prejudice? Something that I feel like parents that are supportive, I'm sorry about that again, people that are very prejudiced against this homosexuality, they will make jokes with the family, they will make jokes with the person that is part of the community without knowing that they're part of the community because they haven't come out to them. And it really affects you. And you should really take into consideration when you're going to say those things, when you're going to make those jokes. For example, like with racism and everything, you might think, oh, well, he's my homie, no, we good, we cool. Okay, all right, you might be. But just think about it for a second. Do I have to do it? Is it necessary? Obviously, for the most part, I should say, especially if you know them since they were little, they're not going to tell you that it hurts them that you're saying these words, because you're going to use it against them and make fun of them even more. So sometimes when you joke about people's bodies, for example, like, oh, you're a stick, let's say. The person might not, your friend or your neighbor, whatever, might not correct you, might not let you know that, hey, I feel this way, because they fear that they're giving you the power to make them feel bad. So they just embrace it and they're like, oh yeah, haha, I'm the stick, ha 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 ha. But they go home and they cry about it. Or they might not cry about it, but they just look in the mirror and they're like, man, I hate myself. So be careful with that. I really do suggest being careful, because you see it in Love, Victor. You see those little comments that you think, oh, it's just harmless. Like the grandparents are very religious and they're just up in everybody's business. And you think, well, nothing's going to know. It's like, stand up for yourself. If you can, if you're in a safe environment. Because, there have been murders. And I'm not exaggerating. Like, if you feel like you're not safe, then just don't do it. But you know your family. You know your surroundings. When you're in a safe place, when you're able to take care of yourself, if all else fails, then go ahead and do it, because it's not worth it. It's not worth pleasing other people, because they live their own lives. And I'm sure that their grandparents did not agree with everything that they did. And if they did agree, it might have been a coincidence, or they might live this repressed sheep herd lifestyle where you just follow whatever everybody else says. We're all individuals, we're all different. We all have the same cells, the same composition, but different paths in life, and take it. And the series, like, it shows all of this. It's obviously about teenagers and everything, but I think it really does a good job showing the ugly side, especially within. Because Victor, like I said, as opposed to Simon, obviously, I guess he has some trouble, but Victor just cannot even say it for the life of him. He doesn't even tell his sister, who, she's so charismatic and everything, but she's always pouty and, like, dissatisfied with the whole world, with everything that goes on. I'm like, girl, put a smile on your face. But at the same time, for example, their parents, their mom cheated on their dad with the boss, and then the dad, as in most cases, unfortunately, beats up the boss, and then they have to move to Atlanta, and that's how all of this starts. So they all have a story, all of them. Felix, for example, is a dorky type that people make fun of him, even Andrew, unbeknownst to him, and he starts making out with Lake one night, and then they go out, but then Lake is embarrassed of him, and they all have secrets, and we get to see a big part of their lives. And that's what's great about a series. I usually prefer movies because you could be having a completely full day, busy schedule, but you always have time for like an hour and a half before going to sleep and stuff like that. But I'm glad, like I said earlier, that I had Hulu and that I gave it a try, because they need it. The creators I know are the same ones as from this one. This movie was based on a novel. I forgot the author's name, I'm sorry. I'll put all the information in the description down below, as I usually do. But yeah, they did a fantastic job. I'm glad that the team is back and that they gave us this series because they could go into detail. We better have a part 2, because we are left with cliffhangers for every single character. There's like room for growth with everyone. Love, Simon, you got to know all the characters, but in this one, you get to know them, and then you kind of follow their lives. Like, I was going up and down the roller coaster with Victor with this series. I am not exaggerating. It was great. It was fantastic. And like, gosh, I had so many things to say, and I'm just blinking out. It was awesome. Like, I remember speaking to a friend back in high school, and he's gay, and he told me, like, I believe that we are all part of a spectrum, and nobody's 100% this, nobody's 0% that. And I've had the luxury of speaking with people like this macho guy and very religious women, older age people, and I've been able to ask them this question alone, one-on-one, face-to-face, away. It should always be in a neutral environment, and I have not been told otherwise. Like, I have not been told like, oh no, I don't believe. No, I've asked them, do you really think that you are 100% straight? Like, there's not even 1%, like nothing. And they don't say anything, because I really do believe in the spectrum. And I'm not like telling you like it has to be a spectrum, I swear by it. No, but that's really what I think based on what I've seen in my short 20-something years of life. Like I said earlier, I was really frustrated with Victor at the beginning, but then I really thought of myself when I was an adolescent, and I'm like, you know what? It's not always easy. It's not. You're like going through all these changes, and then to have this on top of it, not knowing whether you're going to be accepted in your own house. He thought that by moving to Atlanta, that he was going to be in this big high school, and he was just going to have the liberty to open up, and everybody was just going to be open arms. And that's the thing that most people don't understand. In general, yeah, there's a lot of acceptance, there's a lot of equality, but there are those little things. And of course you're going to say, well, always, it's always been that way, and it always will be. Unfortunately, maybe, but it doesn't mean that you can't put your little brick and try and build a more loving foundation, as opposed to a hate-filled world, and just conform to it. Those little things really, those like snickerings, those little comments and microaggressions really deterred Victor from the path that he was supposed to be on originally. I can't wait to see what happens in the season 2. I have not really looked up anything, so I don't know if there's going to be a season 2. If there's not anything announced yet, then I'm going to sign a petition. And I invite all of you guys to sign my imaginary petition, because we need answers. Anyway, I'm so grateful for movies like these and series like these that really inform, educate, and let you in on people of all different colors and different lifestyles, different ideas, different looks, different everything. Like, we're all diverse, and at the same time we're all the same inside. So it's nice to see all the support. I would give Love, Simon a rating of 9 out of 10 in its category, and I'd give Love, Victor a rating of 9.5 out of 10 in its category as well. I recommend it, obviously. Please let me know what you think, and thank you for watching.